Hello, I'm the armory counselor. So, I assume, as you've come up to me, you'd like to make some armor today? Well, what kind of stuff would you like to make? Would you like to make a chest plate, arm pieces, leg pieces, a helmet, any addition to stuff? I specifically focus on armor, so if you want a sword, there are a bunch of other armory counselors that can help you with that. But if you'd like some armor, I'm totally willing to help with whatever fantastical creation you can make. Because we can make pretty much anything here at AIC. Like, there's almost no limit to the type of stuff we can create. So whatever you can dream up, we can try our hardest and manufacture. So it's up to you, whatever we'd like. Well, to help you decide what you want, first let's take a look at the stuff you actually have. So tell me what type of weapons you like using. If you have armor already, what type of armor that is. Actually, here, let's draw out a quick schematic just to see what kind of stuff you got. So here, let's just quick draw a body outline just on the cardboard really quick. There's two arms, some legs, and wow, this you guys got some broad shoulders, but it'll do for our demonstration. So what kind of stuff do you have so far? You're telling me that you currently have a chest plate that some other counselor helped you make. Always a good start. Chest plate's a good start. Oh, you have a helmet too. Nice, nice. What else? What else? Oh, actually, what type of weapons do you like using? Are you a scout user, a knight user? I personally am a knight user. I like using a big old shield. Oh, you're a vanguard user. Cool. Vanguards are one of the strongest classes in the game. So, excellent choice. So, based on this, what you have so far, what kind of armor would you like to start making? I mean, here, we'll take a detour, I suppose. The way that I normally like to make armor is I start out with a chest piece, just like you've got, and then move into some pauldrons, and then leg armor, and then eventually do arm armor. Just like covering biggest spots to biggest spots. So I personally would go with pauldrons, but you can do whatever you like to do next. And I guess another sort of way of helping you think of what you'd like to do is think of like wherever you get tagged out the most often, because that would probably be the place that the armor would be the most worth it to you. So I mean, just think back. What place do you think you get tagged out the most often? So you're saying as a vanguard user, you're mostly getting tagged out kind of on the forearm and a little bit to a lesser extent on the like low upper arm. So mostly really arm troubles, I suppose. Then I guess because you have all this reach, more so than really putting pauldrons on first, I think maybe what makes sense for you would be doing some sort of arm armor. That might be really cool. So here, I'll tell you what we do, and then if you have a different idea, we can go from there. At AIC, we essentially like to make gauntlets like these. Essentially, it's just a little short kind of tube that's wider at one end and narrower on the other. It has little cutouts for your wrist to fold in, another cutout for your elbow to fold in, and it just sort of fits over like that. But if you'd like to make something different, that's totally fine. We can make pretty much whatever you can imagine. So, you say you like the idea of arm armor, but you don't really like how short it is, how it doesn't cover very much of your elbow. I mean, it's definitely true. Here, I'll just draw on what it would be like if you did have that kind of armor. It's really short. It doesn't actually cover very much of your upper arm. It's mostly just kind of a lower thing, but you'd like to have a little bit of upper arm armor as well. That'd be a cool idea. Huh. So there are a bunch of here. I mean, you may have some ideas of your own, but I'll just give you some like seeds of ideas to just start off with. Sort of the way that it's the easiest to do it would be you have a gauntlet piece and then you have an upper arm piece, and they just sort of overlap. It means that there's still a little bit of a thing there, and especially when you bend your arm, the like gap widens pretty. It gets to be a pretty big gap. Another way of closing this, of course, is doing like a, how would you call it? Like a buckle over top. I do this for my knees, actually. You have a big old piece there that kind of runs between the two things, and it's tied on so that it'll like cover both of them. It's kind of hard to slip through though, because sometimes these things can like waffle around because they're just tied on. So perhaps it's not the ideal. It might not be the one you want, but it's certainly an option. If you have a different idea, you're totally welcome to draw it out. Here's a Sharpie, and let's see what you want to draw. So, you drew out this little gauntlet thing here. It's got sort of the base of a regular gauntlet, but it has a big old sort of protruding fin out here that kind of like wraps around your upper arm. Ooh, that'd be cool. Like sort of an elbow piece of some sort. Yeah, because one of the things you were saying was that like you were getting tagged sort of in this zone of the like forearm and like a little bit in the upper arm, and something like this where it would cover both sections, that would be really cool. Huh, that'd be a really nice idea. Sure, let's try to go something like that. So, yeah. Do you think it would be a good idea to start off with just sort of a basic forearm template and then go from there? So, essentially, in my opinion, one of the easiest ways to make just sort of an easy forearm bit, like the forearm bit I showed you, is you measure around your wrist. So you take 3 measurements. The first one's around your, like the fattest, or the skinniest, fattest part of your hand, if that makes any sense. Because you have to slide your wrist through the forearm gauntlet. And then a measurement of the muscle around your forearm, that's measurement number 2. And then the third one you have to make is when you curl both things in, you make a third measurement that's sort of like that in there, so that when you curve your actual forearm in, you can tell where the wrist cutout needs to be and also where the elbow cutout needs to be, so it'll actually be comfortable to wear. Because if you didn't do those cutouts, your arm would have to stay straight the whole time, which would kind of stink. Now the back can be as big or as small as you want it to be, and if you're going to do a huge add-on like that, we can cut out a regular forearm bit and then add on another armor plate to that that'll kind of protect that upper arm region. So yeah, let's have you make those measurements and let's draw a really simple, just little arm gauntlet piece. Right, so we just had you make these 3 measurements, and just real quick now, I'm going to take these 3 and draw sort of the traditional, well, the Ickerson traditional kind of armor gauntlet style. So that is your wrist measurement, or the kind of like narrow thing it has to slide through. Then we go down the length of that inside bit, and this needs to extend a little bit beyond that, but we just keep that measurement in mind. And then the third one we do is your forearm bit. This one is important because, I mean, that's about the kind of level of taper you're going to want for your forearms to be. We just connect it. So now we got our little trapezoid here. And then the fun part that you get to design is this huge other like elbow upper arm section. So, I mean, just to cover a bit of the back of your hand, we put a little lump out there and then some skinnier bits there, so it'll just be a little bit more comfortable. But this big old section back here, this gets to be whatever cool design you'd like us to make. The one that I would recommend doing, I mean, well, the one that's like easy is just you do a big spike there. But what you could do is do like some wings out, and then when you seal them together, it kind of curves around like your design here did. And so it would curve up and kind of protect that back of your upper arm. And so when you like protruded your vanguard forward, it would actually like secure that, protect it. That could be really cool. So here, I'll let you take control of the Sharpie, and you can draw out whatever sort of design you think would be cool. Oh wow, you drew out some very impressive spikes. That will be super cool when it all fuses together and it comes 3D. So I guess just really quick with the colored Sharpie, I'll draw out the line of where you want me to cut around, just so that when I actually make all the cuts, you'll be really sure. So you want to do this inside line, right? So that your forearm kind of like goes inside the gauntlet rather than like slotting through it. Just like that. Cool. Got some big kind of gull wings here. Same thing on the other side. Alright, we will cut that out and see what she looks like. Alright, so we just had you cut out this whole bit because you're nice certified. And now what I'm essentially going to do is be real careful here, and we're going to score it down the length and just sort of fit it together and see if it works out for you. And just sort of test to make sure everything fits and make sure that's all good. And then the fun part is going to be trying to get these huge wings to slide in. Honestly, it looks a little bit like a squid, doesn't it? Like a big head and some, more like a jellyfish or something. I don't know, it looks cool. It looks cool. And it'll look even cooler when it's actually on your arm and protecting you. So here, we'll just fold it up and see if she works for you. All right, so we had you test and fit it out, and you said you liked the way everything felt. So now our next big step is we're going to have you do this, because I mean, it's just taping. I'm certain you can do it. Tape these two edges together to make the body of the gauntlet, and then we're going to have you tape those two seams together to make that sort of upper arm piece. And once you're done taping that, we'll come back and just check it out to see how it looks. Alright, so we had you tape everything together and try it on, but you said that there were some issues you were having with it, which that's totally okay. We can redesign however much you want. So your two big issues were when you slid it actually on, I'm not going to do it, but your wrist actually can't, it like bumps up with the edge of your wrist, you said? So essentially what we can do is literally just cut that off and rotate it 90 and tape it back on. Or what we could do is cut it off again and do a bigger, better one and attach that. But that was, I think, the lesser of the two issues. The biggest issue was that you said this curved too much. It was too much curve. If it was a little bit less, your arm could straighten out a little bit more, but this sort of keeps your elbow in a little bit, and so you'd rather fix it so that your arm can actually straighten out a little bit better. Because we can totally do that. I think, honestly, what we can do at this point is cut both of them off and try to trace out some new designs to put on your gauntlet just to make it a little bit more functional. We could even do some like cool like spikes or plates or something so that it would like be all one big piece over top that would protect both your wrist and your elbow. So yeah, if you feel comfortable with that, then let's go back to the drawing board and make some tweaks. Alright, so here we got your gauntlet and a fresh new piece of cardboard that we can draw on as much as we want. So, what you were kind of talking about is you had this gauntlet here, and we'll just draw it as a tapered cylinder for now, that had a little bit of protrusion that was meant to protect your wrist, but because of this way that this thing curved in, it actually ended up on like the side of your hand, not the actual top of it. So what we should do is rotate that 90 degrees. And that this thing, it was on the right side, but because it curved in too much, kind of was uncomfortable and didn't allow you to extend your arm the full way. It kept it like trapped at a unfortunate angle, which it would not be good in a sword fight. So both of those things are things we should fix. I think the easier of the two fixes is going to be this one. I like the way that we just talked about. You have a little bit of a gauntlet piece there, and we can cut out a new thing to paste over top and attach on the sides and stuff, so it'll protect like a good chunk of your hand and be all nice and armorative. But this one's going to be a little bit weird. We can do a lot of different things. One of the things we could do would be to cut down a little bit of the way and then add in another plate to make it a bit wider, or we could cut the whole thing off and do the same sort of thing on the back as we did on the front as we did on the back, and do another big plate over the top and attach it on the sides just so that it'd do the same thing and protect that upper arm bit. But it's really up to you. Whatever you'd like to design, we can do. So here, I'll pass the marker off to you, and whatever design you like, we can go with. You said you liked the idea of this sort of little like top of wrist plate, and you also like the idea of like putting a feather in here. I don't know if that's an actual technical term, but it's one that I use to describe where you like add a piece in to widen it out a little bit. That we could totally do. We could even make it spiky like you drew here. Because really, whatever shape you'd like to add to make it a little bit wider and just more comfortable for you to use, we could totally do. So yeah, let's, well, I mean, here, we can start right now by just cutting off this little bit. And then we need to figure out what kind of piece you'd like to put over top. So we'll get some more cardboard, do a little bit of drawing, and figure some stuff out. So here, we need, well, we know for certain that we need a sort of forearm piece. So what we can, or I mean a wrist piece rather. What we can sort of do is press it down there on top, and we know about how long your hand needs to be. And so the plate for that should look a little bit something like this, so that it like wraps around a little bit on either side, and then we'll attach it there and there, but it also is able to cover sort of your fingers and the forearm bit. So yeah, I mean, however spiky you want that to look, you can draw out whatever you like. But yeah, if you're okay with something like that for that. Now the fun part, a little bit harder part, is going to be what you want to feather in here. Because it can be as big or as small as you want, and it can be whatever shape you want. I would recommend that you have a little bit of like a outwards curving thing so that it'll make it more flat and more straight and actually fold a little bit more in line, but it'll kind of keep that nice curvy geometry that looks pretty darn cool on this piece. So do something like that. And I know you said you wanted a spike, so if you do a spike there, we do about the same kind of angle of spike here so that it'll come curving out, then straight for a little bit, and then another 2 curves out to another kind of, you have a really cool point here, and we can sort of keep this point by attaching it to the feather so that the most sticky out bit will sort of be this sort of same point geometry. So yeah, I think that'll look cool. Let's cut out these pieces and tape them on and see what's what. Alright, so we had you tape in this last little feather down here and widen out the spot. Actually kind of looks like a pentagon now. I really like the look of that. It's very gothic frilly. And also, we loosely taped on this piece here so that when you slide your arm in, it sort of protects the back of your knuckles, but it also like is able to move away so that if you move your wrist while you're like swinging around your sword and stuff, it won't actually stay hard and get in the way, because that was an issue with the old one. When you turn your wrist, it would do things better or worse, certain different directions, but because this one's loose, it'll fit on a lot nicer. So yeah, that's pretty much the gauntlet we had you make. Do you mind if we do just a short video showcase to show off you in your full set with the addition of the gauntlet?
Yeah, I'm the camper from Drake. The armory counselor just helped me build this cool new arm guard so that when I'm fighting with my vanguard and I stick my arm out, it'll all be protected by this cool new elbow arm guard. Thanks, armory counselor.